Hi everyone, this is Caesar with Inspire Movement. Hope you're having a great Labor Day weekend. I know we are, and we certainly hope that you are too. Today we continue with our segment entitled Word of the Day. The word of the day today is anger. So when we think of anger, we think of feelings of hostility, that general frustration, displeasure, even annoyance that you could have towards someone, right? Anger can be normal, anger can be out of control anger and be abnormal. So when we think of normal anger, everyday sort of happenstance, it could be a situation with confrontations, small, great confrontation with your spouse, maybe an issue while you're driving, right? Somebody cuts you off and you have that sort of anger sensation. It could be an issue at home with one of your children, for example. So those are mild sort of everyday sort of things, which if you're handling properly, they should never really surface into something other, right? Like road rage or something like that. But there is out of control anger. Out of control anger can be a situation where you're dealing with depression and anger is just a symptom. So that's one sense in which you can't really control that anger anymore. It gets out of your hands. It could be also a situation where you're dealing with like childhood traumas that you don't know are, something that you're dealing with, and that can lead to rage, again, out of control anger. It could be something genetic. Your brain not being able to deal with serotonin, for example, can lead to you not managing your emotions properly, and therein, again, an out of control anger. Emotional and physical conditions with anger-related problems. Some emotional conditions we talked about already. Rage, that's one of them. That's completely being out of control, right? Blowing the top out of the situation. High stressors, high anxiety. Again, this is an emotional condition. Physical conditions can be you're in that confrontation with someone or something that's angering you, and you feel tingling in your hands, you feel a tightening of the chest, maybe even like if you're getting some sort of, kind of like a heart condition, fatigue, out of breath, it can manifest itself physically. You can even lead to things like high blood pressure. So emotionally and physically, anger-related problems are something to contend with, and if it's out of control, you just don't want to do anything or do nothing about it. It's something that you definitely have to deal with. So how do I relate to this word anger? In just openly sharing with you guys, there was a period in my early 20s where I actually needed to put myself into an anger management program with a mental health counselor for an extended period of time because it was all consuming. In my situation, I didn't know it at the time, but I had some early childhood traumas, abandonment and things of that nature, a general sense of lack of safety that led to me sort of acting out in disproportionate ways, particularly in intimate settings. And that's when, that boogeyman sort of rears its ugly head. Is you're probably not going to act, rageful with, say, a coworker, unless it's completely, out of your control. More than likely it's going to be at home, whether it be with a significant other, your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend. They're going to see those darker sides of you because you're dealing with something that you don't really know how to handle, nor do you even know where it comes from. I can tell you from doing this intense therapy, it was in my mid-20s again. For me, it was stressors that really surfaced or had this out of control anger sort of surface. I was young, I was going to school at night, grad school, I was working 50, 60-hour weeks, I was trying to be a good husband, I was trying to be a good dad, and all the while, really I was kind of failing at everything because I didn't really know how to handle it. And fights with my wife, for example, wouldn't be, something that we resolve in an hour or that evening. They would last weeks. So you can imagine what that would do to your matrimony and to your relationships. That's when anger now is completely out of control and taking over your life. So I sought help. One of the things that I learned through therapy that I can share with you, and I know this is going to sound really foreign and sort of weird to some of the folks listening to this, but is that we all have sort of an inner child that we need to cater to or protect. And that inner child is essentially those experiences that we basically experience as a child, we bring into our adulthood. And things such as, like I mentioned, abuse, if it's a sense of physical, maybe even verbal or sexual abuse that you had to contend with, those things are going to manifest itself when you're older in intimacy with someone else. So that's where you can find yourself in an argument with your wife or your significant other over something really small and menial, but it really blows over incredibly, right? And you don't really know where this is all coming from. It could be something super small and it just becomes this heated, incredibly over the top argument that's completely out of your hands. So this is where I think we need to seek help. So in trying to handle the situation, how do we identify with that inner child and cater to it? Well, through the resource of a mental health counselor, we can actually go and figure out what it was in our childhood that made us this way, made us react this way, and learn coping mechanisms to identify and then properly deal with. So mental health counseling can certainly help. And that's something that, again, sounds foreign to some, but once I learned, for example, oh, I had issues of abandonment, or I had an issue maybe with lack of safety, and you identify that, then it loses sort of that power and grapple over you, and now you can actually do something about it, and it's not so much out of control, and you begin to, do things such as mindfulness, et cetera, and learn some other tips, which I'm going to share with you now, to deal with your anger-related issue. So one of them that I can tell you is think before you talk. So one of the things that I used to do is, unfortunately succumb to almost verbal abuse by not thinking before I spoke and actually hurting the other person that I'm speaking to by the words that I'm using. So let's pause. As soon as you feel that sort of emotion inside of you, come to a pause before you hurt somebody's feelings, because that's going to make the situation all the more difficult to try to solve with. Avoid I, or use I rather, instead of you. So in a two-way confrontation with someone, use I feel this way, or I feel that way. Use I terms versus pointing the finger at somebody else and telling them what they're doing wrong, because that only exacerbates the issue. Take a time out, go for a walk. Remove yourself from the situation so that you can, once you remove yourself from the situation, come back. Now you can actually focus not on the issue that made you angry, but on solutions. Okay, this is the issue. Okay, what can I do to solve it? And do it calmly. Most importantly, do it calmly. Get some exercise. Really, get some exercise. If you're super anxious and stressful, or succumb to stress, just doing something like exercise can really help you as well. There's a whole host of different things that you can do. Mindfulness, which you talked about before, things like doing yoga, listening to music, removing yourself and doing something pleasurable can certainly be helpful as well. And when it's something that even if these little things don't help you at all, and you know that you're really completely out of control, please accept the issue and seek the help of a professional, a mental health counselor that can help you address these anger issues and put you in an anger management program similar to what I was put in. And believe you me, you will be all the better for it, and your life will be so much better. You're going to be so much happier and agreeable to those around you. I hope these reflections are of value to you guys. I do it from the heart, as you know. Please, if you like the content, follow us on Instagram. We're also on Facebook, as well as on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. It's Inspire Our Movement. You can identify our logo there as you surf through the YouTube channels. We hope to see you there. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your Labor Day weekend. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thank you so much, guys. Have a blessed week.